Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us today. As always, we got a fun show today. I love the world of sports. It gets crazy, wacky all the time, and we're going to cover a whole bunch of it. Of course, there has been a reporter that has come out and said, I did not vote for Bill Belichick. I admire the courage, but it's a stupid process, and it may shed some light on what's happening. So we're going to talk about that today and a whole bunch of people who, kind of said, "Hey, wait a minute, I have something to say about this." Uh, uh, a jersey sold for $150,000. You won't believe who it is. I thought it was fascinating. We'll do that as well. And I guess the curious minds wants to know, or they want to know, so they're going to ask me questions about my time in the NFL and all that stuff. And then we have a fun segment today where it's like it sucks to be you, and we'll tell you who it sucks to be in a while. Of course, a lot of trade stuff happening in the NBA and the NFL, and then of course we're going to play a game at the end. So let's start here with the fun stuff because it's all fun. Bill Belichick, of course, he was snubbed, right? And and everyone like I think the people I'm now convinced that the people who didn't vote for him are going, man, that was wrong. That was just egregious. But I think that some light is coming out that shows us a little bit about, okay, this is what kind of really happened. And I think to some degree it probably is. And we'll get into this a little bit because okay, so a writer for the Kansas City, of course, for the Kansas City Chiefs, actually, Vay Gregorian didn't vote for Bill Belichick, and he admitted it. And he was and which is courageous, maybe stupid, maybe a whole bunch of things, but I know personally because I wanted to know who all these people were. And I think it sheds light on the process here, which actually makes it a lot worse than it really is. And so you have and his explanation was fascinating to me. You have so many votes, so they clump a group of people together, senior people. So this year it's Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, Elsie Greenwood, and then they throw in a contributor, which could be a coach, it could be an owner, it could be someone who has a very significant. Owners are considered contributors. Then it's like, why don't you just have an owner category, just instead of a contributor, just the owner category, or maybe it's special assistant. Define these in a much better way. So then there's a contributor, and this year it's Robert Kraft, who's the owner of the New England Patriots, and then a coach, which is also, and so they're all clumped together. And how do you put together a group of people? It's just like it's kind of like a hodgepodge. It's like, oh yeah, well, we need to find these special categories for players or coaches or whatever, because there's people that have had a significant impact on the game of professional football. And that's really what the Hall of Fame is about. It's that your contribution to the game made a significant impact on its legacy, on its popularity, on its greatness. And it's not just the players who have made these different contributions. So I'm totally on board with this, and I like the idea of it. But how in the world can you put senior candidates, you put an owner, and you clump them all together, and that's what they've done. And then they say, now you can't pick all of them, but you can only pick three. And that just is massively flawed. And we kind of brushed on it yesterday, but now someone's actually come out and said, "This is what I actually did." So what happened is, he said, "Look, I was really in favor of these senior players, and I really feel that they should get in. And I'm a proponent of Ken Anderson. I'm a proponent of, I mean, any one of these three, great player. And there's something about Roger, and he's fascinating. And I mean, part of it is, you're a running back in the West Coast offense. Your impact is different than if you're, Eric Dickerson or someone who just was a pure runner or was in a system that was just about, I'm the guy kind of thing as a running back. Whereas Craig was more versatile. It's like, yeah, he rushed and he had a decent career rushing, but he was just highly effective as a player. And he was a huge part of why those 49er teams won Super Bowls. He was a great player, and he's one of those high stepping knees, it just that Roger Craig was an impactful player. And LC Greenwood, same thing. I mean, you almost feel like you have to put everyone who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the late 70s in the Hall of Fame. And and so the writer's theory was, if I don't select these guys now, and I don't get them in, then they'll probably never get in because they're kind of at the tail end of what's going on. Eli Manning is not getting into the Hall of Fame right now, and it's a fascinating discussion about his career and whether it's deserving or not. And there's a lot of his career you go, well, he's absolutely deserving. And you look at some of the statistics, and so he's a very debatable person to get in, but he's gonna he slid again, and he might slide again down the road because now more players are becoming eligible, more recent players like potential first ballot guys that they normally put in. So these senior players really kind of ultimately get the shaft, and there are a lot of really, really quality players you could argue deserve to get into the Hall of Fame, and they're probably not going to get in the Hall of Fame, or it's going to be really hard for them. And this was kind of the whole thought process with uh, um, Mr. Gregorian, and he was I just have a sentiment. I just really think these people get in. I know Bill Belichick's gonna get in the Hall of Fame. Robert Kraft is gonna get in the Hall of Fame, and these guys are at the end of their rope. So the reality of this is one person because I think I don't know that everyone had that same thought process because clearly it's come out with Bill Polian that he's 95% sure that he voted for Bill Belichick, but he doesn't remember. Like it sounds like some guy who's um, being interrogated in front of Congress, and he's testifying before. Well, I don't have a recollection of this at this moment, and I'm not really sure if I just don't know. And it's like, of course he knows, and everyone knows he knows, and everyone knows he didn't vote for him. And so that kind of brings up a different question, but let me just finish this thought here, and I'll get into Bill Polian and all of that in just a second. So you have this like stupid process, and you have people lumped together who really shouldn't fit together. I mean, Bill Belichick just retired from coaching, and you're eligible, and that which is why he's eligible right now. So why in the world do you lump him with why mix and match this whole process and put all of these people together? Makes absolutely zero sense to me. Same thing with Robert Kraft. Now, why this year Robert Kraft is being recognized and up for a ballot? Maybe he has been in the past and hasn't gotten through. I have no idea. I didn't research that out, but certainly Robert Kraft as an owner, without any question, is a Hall of Fame contributor to the NFL. So the process is really stupid. The process is broken. The process is not. It doesn't really address situations. And if anything good comes out of this, that's what I think you hope for. You hope that everyone says, okay, we have to fix this process. We have to have a better way, a more defined way, so that a lot of people aren't slipping through the cracks, or a lot of people who deserve to be first ballot Hall of Famers are in, and they're in, and that's the problem because it just makes no sense in any universe why a coach who just retired is considered part of the senior selection group. He just retired. Like Ken Anderson's old, like, and Ken Anderson is actually a coach of mine for 2 years, and I loved my time with Ken Anderson, and I really hope that he gets into the Hall of Fame. He's you know, he's a very under the radar person, and I think he deserves to get. I could argue that all three of the senior candidates deserve to get in the Hall of Fame. I don't think there's a person in that group that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. So here you have a whole group of people, and it's like, yeah, but they're not all getting in. And it's really it's absolutely idiotic because they deserve to be in. Now, if it's someone that you go, "Yeah, you know, I'm not really sure about," or, you know, I mean, look, if Jimmy Johnson is in the Hall of Fame, and no offense to Jimmy Johnson, he's all over the place these days, and you know, talking about things, and he was a great, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. My point is if Jimmy Johnson's in the Hall of Fame, so should Bill Belichick. And everyone knows that he will. Jimmy Johnson had to wait a while. A lot of coaches had. I was surprised Parcells had to wait a while, Bill Walsh. And you're surprised about this, but you're also like, they shouldn't have to wait. They really shouldn't have to wait. And for whatever reason they do and they did, and it is what it is. But we all know it's really stupid. Okay. Now this next point about this, I think is quite fascinating. Tom Brady kind of he spoke up about Bill Belichick. Here's what Tom Brady had to say.
Tom, how did you react yesterday or this morning when you heard that Bill was not selected to be in the Hall of Fame in his first shot?
You know, it's I just think that to me I don't understand it. I mean, I was with them every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. And he's incredible. There's no coach I'd ever want to play for. I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough said. There's nothing outside of that. You know, again, when it comes down to votes and, you know, popularity and all that, like, you know, then welcome to the world of voting. And you may as well go, you know, try out for the Oscars or whatever and, you know, get a big panel to tell you if you're good or not. So it's the way it works. And that's unfortunately, you know, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. You know, and a lot of times in life, you know, for all of us, you know, things don't happen exactly how you want them on your timeline, but we'll all be there to celebrate him when it does happen. And he's going to have a huge turnout from so many players, coaches that appreciated everything that he did and the commitment that he made to winning and the impact that he had on all our lives. And that'll be a great celebration when it happens.
Yeah, and there's no question about that. It's interesting. Tom Brady says, you know, sometimes in life you got to kind of wait a minute, which is true. There's no doubt about that. But it will be there when he goes into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be like, yeah, but he should have been, and could have been, and would have been. But for whatever stupid process they have of voting, he's not in. Now, the Hall of Fame, of course, had to issue a statement. And I'm not, it almost feels like the Hall of Fame is trying to, you know, cover its behind whatever it's trying to do. But they basically said, you know, if there's a voter out there who said, you know, had a personal vendetta or didn't vote for a person because, you know, for whatever reason they didn't like him, they didn't feel that, you know, I don't know, they just look funny or they just whatever, then that person should be removed from voting, and that's something that we need to look into, which kind of leads to the Bill Polian comments. And Bill Polian's come out and said, and he's a rival, and I can see coaches and front office people, you know, having a vendetta or having, because I have coaches that I don't really care for. You know, I can't say, you know, I try to be a good person and try to get over it. And for the most part I have, but some of it I haven't. And that's on me. And that's just part of being a human. And so we don't necessarily always like everyone. Um, but So I could see that competitive side. And Bill Polian, had a big rivalry between the Colts and the Patriots, all that stuff. And there was some speculation that he was out politicking for he doesn't deserve to be in because of this. And so the whole Spygate thing and look, the Patriots, Bill Belichick, they all paid the price for that. They were found to be at fault, and they paid restitution, and it was over with. And he continued to coach and was very successful. And maybe he got a slight advantage for a certain period of time, but over the course of his whole career, that wasn't the case. You could argue, well, okay, if you're faulting him for maybe not playing by the rules all the time, you kind of have to fault the Hall of Fame and just say your whole process stinks. And how can we trust anything you're doing? Because there's no way Bill Belichick shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So if there's this nefariousness going on with personality conflicts, or you're not looking at the merit of the player or the contributor, you're looking at how you feel about them or your personal connection to them or your liking or hatred towards them. That's not right. And the Hall has come out and said that. So then it brings up T.O. And of course, why was he not a first ballot Hall of Fame? Why was he held out? And a lot of people said because they just didn't like it. Here's what T.O. had to say. So, hey, Pro Football Hall of Fame, where the hell was this when they violated these bylaws when it came to me in 2016 and 2017? Like, there's nobody that could argue that T.O. should not be in the Hall of Fame. She should not be in the Hall of Fame. Like, there's not a person, there's not anyone in the entire world that thinks that T.O. shouldn't be there. So he has a tremendously valid point, and his whole thing was, T.O.'s thing was weird. He had his own celebration. He was off doing his own thing. And you can almost now knowing some of this stuff, and I guarantee you that it's real. I guarantee you that people just didn't like him. And this goes back to, I think, a comment Tom Brady said is, when you're voting for people have biases, and they vote for things for a lot of different reasons. Hey, I just felt sorry for the senior candidate, so I voted for all of them, even though my responsibility is to, vote the very best person in. I'm sorry that the process stinks. I'm sorry that and so if you're voting because the process stinks, as opposed to voting because it's the right person. Like, if you look at all the people, if you take those three senior candidates, you take Robert Kraft and you take Bill Belichick, of all five of those people, the absolute top of the list who should be in the Hall of Fame is Bill Belichick. No matter what. I mean, that's your job. That's job one. And it's not the morality police. It's not that, hey, this system is kind of flawed. It's not that I felt sorry for some people, so I was going to take justice into my own hands. It's like, you got to change the process. If here are your rules, here is your responsibility, and your responsibility is to put the very best people in there. Period. Now, if you want to change it, and change it so these people that are falling off the list, that are being forgotten, can be remembered. Really, I was having this conversation with Herman Moore on the show yesterday, and just about how quickly and how easily we're forgotten, and how there's recency bias, and how you have a slew of new people coming through the process to be in the Hall of Fame, and there's people that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that aren't in the Hall of Fame, and they may never get in the Hall of Fame unless the Hall of Fame says, wait a minute, we gotta find some way to change all of this. You know what I say? We live in a world of participation trophies. Simple solution for all of this: put us all in. There's only about 15,000 of us together. Just put us all in. then you don't have to worry about this. And no one, and no, because here's the reality, and this is the reality. And the NFL says this. They say, hey, if you play in the NFL, you're a legend. And if you have any time in the NFL, you're like, because you make it, and you are the top 1% of the 1%, and it's this division within all the players. You can argue that players would have better careers, longer careers, more successful careers if they're in different situations than they're in, and that there are some souls in there that are just extremely lucky because they were in the right situation. And I firmly believe that. Not now these players will tell you different. They'll tell you, no, man, I'd be great anywhere. And that's just not true. It's just not true. So I say put us all in. Give us all a trophy. Let us be Hall of Famers, and then there's no issue. Because we all deserve it. All right, there you have it. We're gonna take a break. We come back. Apparently the folks behind the scenes here have questions. So I'm gonna get peppered with some questions, and this is a good question today. So you want to stick around. I'm going to answer questions from the curious minds of my producers. So that and so much more when the Down and Dirty returns.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. As you can see, it's a group of us on the channel here. And so we have Zach to my left and Martin to my right. And they have curious questions. And a lot of times we'll be in the background and they go, hey, what about this? And I go, oh, that's a good one. Let's talk about that. But we're not going to talk about it until we get on the air. So they have questions. I have answers. We're going to see if we can come up with some solutions here. So Zach, fire away. What's your question?
So my first one was, we had gotten to a discussion about the color of the Dolphins jerseys earlier.
Yes.
And for some reason it made me think of Ace Ventura, but it also then made me think then, because I know sometimes that quarterbacks are the ones in charge of holding the PATs. Yes. And it just made me wonder if you ever had the opportunity to do that. And if so, how it went.
Well, let me tell you a story. So there was a philosophy, and I think it's changed for the most part. The philosophy was that the backup quarterbacks held on most teams, and certainly for the Miami Dolphins. And a lot of that reason is that if there's the opportunity for a fake, or also, believe it or not, quarterbacks have the best hands on the team. And the reason they do, if you think about it, every day you go to practice and you'll throw a football, and a lot of times you're throwing it to the other quarterback. So you're constantly catching footballs from quarterbacks, and taking the center quarterback exchange is this process. You're constantly handling a football. You're holding it, you're protecting it in the pocket, you're catching it, you're doing all these different things, and you get very adept at actually touching. And I say this all the time: quarterbacks have the best teams on the team. So between those two thought processes, it seemed the most logical thing to have quarterbacks hold. Now, when I got to the Miami Dolphins, they told me this, and they said, "Look, quarterbacks hold. If you want to be the backup quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, you better figure out how to hold a football." I've never held a football in my life. Because I was always the starter, So now I'm relegated to being a holder. And I never done it. It was in a mini camp, when I first got there. And so they start showing me the mechanics of how to do it. Now, I learned some tricks along the way, but at first I was horrible. I mean, I was so bad. So they go, "Let's just go kind of half speed." So they snap a couple, I set it down, and the kickers are really particular about how you set the ball down. Not only how you set it down, but where. Like, there's a spot. Like, they put their toe, and you put your finger down right at the end of their toe, because their steps, it'll throw their steps off if you're back from that spot or too far forward or whatever. So you got to land on the spot. And there's a real trick to figuring out how to land on the spot. And I'm going to tell you in a minute, but I'm going to tell you how horrible this was to start with. So we kick a few kicks, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting this. And he goes, "Now let's go full speed." So you have to catch the ball, you have to put it on the spot, you put your finger on top of it, you have to tilt it just a little bit, and then you have to spin the laces so they're aimed out straight. And you do this in a really, really short time, because basically when they snap the ball, the kicker starts moving towards the ball, and he's just having faith that you're going to get all of these things down right. So I get the ball, put it down, go to spin the laces. My hand is still in front of the football, and he kicks the football and kicks my hand with the ball. And I will just tell you, it was the most painful thing in the world. And now I'm just like, I'm totally gun shy. I'm just freaking out. I'm like, this just sucks. This is horrible. I hate this. There's a famous kick, and you all are going to know this. So Scott Norwood, who kicked the ball for the Buffalo Bills, and it was the wide right kick, right? And the guy holding for him was Frank Reich, who was backup quarterback for the Bills. And of course, I was really attuned to holders at that time, because I was holding for kicks and extra points. And I talked to Frank about this later on. I said, "Dude, man, you didn't put the laces in the front. Like, it was literally like laces out, Dan, like in the movie." And he didn't. And he goes, "I know, and I did it on purpose." And I go, "Please explain." And he said, in pregame warmups, Norwood was hooking the ball like crazy. Like, he was tugging them. Like, they were just, and so he says, "My thought process was to put the laces in the wrong spot. So with him hooking the football, it would actually go more straight." But when he kicked the ball, he kind of just guided it in. He didn't just, he just didn't make, it's like you just got to swing the club, you can't try to guide it in there. And he tried to kind of wish it and hope it in. And he probably thought in his mind, "Hey, I've been hooking them all, in warm up." So, because you can imagine that would get in your head as a kicker. You'd be like, okay, you overcompensate. You see kickers do it all the time. They overcompensate for it, but the holder actually overcompensated. I don't know if he talked to Scott Norwood, before he did this or not, or he just took it upon himself to do it or whatever. And so the laces have an impact on the ball. It'll pull, and if you're inches in a world, where, especially on longer kicks, where there's more time for the ball to react or to move or to curve, whatever, it becomes really, really relevant. Now, Pete Stoyanovich was our kicker in Miami, and he said, "Listen, extra points, just you can put it down on the ground sideways. Like if you fumble it, bumble it, stumble it, you just put it on the ground. I'll kick it because it's an extra point. Like it's not hard to do." And now, in the whole time I did it, I will just tell you, the absolute worst job I've ever had. I hate it. I cannot stand it. The only time you get any recognition for it is when you screw up. You go into a lot of games and you're cold, where you're just sitting on the sideline, and so getting your hands warm and supple enough to catch the ball it was a really hard thing. I had one extra point that I messed up in my whole time doing it, but other than that, I had no issues. Now I learned some tricks, and this is kind of interesting because I told you about, you got to get the ball on the right spot, and how you do that is you anchor. So I had my back knee up, so my front knee was down on the ground. My back knee was up, and I rested my elbow right against that knee, and then I put the spot down on the ground. So there was a constant spot for my hand. And then the tendency, especially if a kicker kicks your hand, is you're trying to reach out and grab the ball, like you're trying to hurry, so when it snapped to you, the tendency is to bring your hands out in front of you, but then you have to pull them back and set it on the spot. And what I learned is the ball traveling back to me was far faster than me reaching out for it. So you just let the ball come right into your hands. And we had a center who was so good, he got to where literally he could snap it, and the laces were almost in the front every single time. Wow. And then I had another trick, and I would put something down on the ground, like you'd find sunflower seeds, or you'd find a blade of grass, or I might twist a little bit of grass together so you can kind of visually see where your spot is. When we played on AstroTurf, you can actually lick your fingers and put and make a moist, wet spot where the ball, there's all these little tricks. Yeah. But the biggest thing I learned was letting the ball come to me and not reach out for it. But I will tell you, the worst job in the world. Now once I started playing and I was a starter, they're like, "We don't want you, no, holding's bad. Like, we don't want you to hold, that's for the loser backup guys, and so I went to Cincinnati, and they said, "Hey, we understand you held before, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they go, "Well, do you mind if we'd like to see you hold?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I purposely just did a horrible job. Like, I made the kicker, so I knew all the things to make the kicker uncomfortable, because like, I'm not holding. I've retired from that job. I'm not going back. I'm not doing that job ever again. I would watch game film of holding because I was so nervous, and it was so nerve-wracking for me to do, because I did not want to screw it up. We had one time where we called a fake field goal. It was against the Houston Oilers, and there was a certain look they had, and if they lined up in this look, we had it. And so I had to call green or something like that, which meant go, like, we're gonna go for this. And so I'm doing it, and our guy jumps off sides. And I'm like, "Oh man, this was my big moment, man. I was gonna run a fake field goal, and we were gonna, anyway." So besides that, I had one mishap. It was in Buffalo, New York, and the wind was howling, and the ball came back to me like a Charlie Huff knuckleball. And I basically just trapped it on the ground, and and 10 guys hit me before I could do anything. So there's that question. Martin, you got a question for me?
Yeah, I got a question for you. We've talked about.
You appreciate that answer, by the way?
I did. That answered everything I wanted to know. Yeah, thank you.
Kind of an interesting thing. Holding, I hate it.
Oh, of course you did. I mean, just the fact that you're a left-hander, I would hate.
Well,
believe it or not, being left-handed actually helped me hold. It was actually easier to hold as for a right-footed kicker. Like, if I had to hold for a left-footed kicker, it would have been really hard for me.
That makes sense, but it does seem like a job that's not necessarily fun to do.
No, it's now what they do is they have the punters do it now.
Yeah,
because they spend so much time together that they build a camaraderie. There really is a level of trust and comfort between the kicker and the holder, getting it just right. So
just keep the 4 special team guys together. Don't let them interact with anybody else.
They're not football players anyway.
Yeah,
so
they're not football players. Okay,
they shouldn't even be allowed in the locker room. They should have their own special.
What do they do? They just sit there and just
as a
drop the
former
ball every
long
once in a while,
snapper,
okay?
I disagree with this, but let's just keep going.
They demand everyone on the sidelines to get out of the way so they can practice kicking and into a net and all that stuff.
You hate them until you need a kicker or a punter,
Exactly.
and then
you got a point there.
And long snappers, man, long snapper is a different thing. Long snapper is the best job in all of football. Like that is a job because you can do it forever. You can do it forever. You don't even have to be in shape to be the long snapper. And in fact, it's better if you're not. The optics of it looks so much better if you got a little pudge on you, Anyways, go ahead,
all right,
Martin.
Scott. So we've talked about this before. You hated Memorial Stadium very much. You hated the Philadelphia Eagles' old grounds that there was. Okay, but was there another stadium that you just dreaded absolutely so much? You're like, I don't want to get on this plane. I don't care if it's fine or nothing. I'm not playing in that stadium. Period. End of story.
Yeah, there are stadiums like, and it's kind of weird. It's more the playing surface. So Veteran Stadium in Philadelphia, of course, is one of those stadiums that I hated. But and it wasn't even the fans per se. I kind of give the fans a hard time in Philadelphia, and they deserve a hard time. But you have a lot of seams in the old baseball stadiums, and so and it was the seams like they would have a cutout for third base and second base and first base, but during a football game they put the turf down in there, and it wasn't just a seam. They had like 3. It was like it was weird how they had it, and so it was like think of going over railroad tracks. When you're driving a car, it was like it's a bump, 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 going across those seams where the bases were. And it was just a horrible surface to throw at. But I'll tell you, this will sound weird. And it was Old Texas Stadium. It was weird because a lot of the stadiums have a crown to them. So in the middle of the field, and it's so the water runs off the field, and I don't know what they did. It's almost like they had just buried someone in there, and it was just like this huge mound in Texas Stadium. So you're in the middle of the field and you're throwing an out route. The guy, when he gets to the out, is almost at he's like waist high, and so it's almost like you're throwing the ball downhill. You could throw a normal pass, like a normal out route in Texas Stadium, and actually throw it high, and it isn't high because there was such a drop off. At least it kind of felt like it was that drop off. But I will tell you, and that one wasn't a fun one. Now, as much as I enjoyed Green Bay, why I enjoyed it, I don't know, because we didn't have a lot of success there. But the one place I absolutely hated was Milwaukee County Stadium. And there was a time where the Green Bay Packers had an agreement with the city of Milwaukee that they would play, you have 8 regular home games, and I think they would play 2 of their 8 in Milwaukee. So think of that. You have Lambeau Field, this incredible, iconic place, and you go, yeah, we're going to give up 2 home games a year to go to Milwaukee. And not only are we going to go to Milwaukee, but we're going to play in their baseball stadium. So you're on the same side of the field. Like both teams are on one side of the field, and there's this yellow marker at the 50-yard line. And it's like you can't pass the yellow marker. Like it was this imaginary boundary. And so you're at the 49-yard line, and you look over to your left or right, depending on which side and there was the other team. And they're just right there. And it's like, how can you talk on the sideline? How can you do anything on the sideline when you have the other team on your sideline. It made no sense I mean, there wasn't even a buffer zone. There wasn't like a 10-yard separation. It was a yellow strip of some kind of, tape almost, there was, it maybe was a yard wide.
Almost,
and
like
it was like, it's like, this is the demilitarized zone. You're not allowed in here. You can get shot. You can't go there. It was, I'm telling you, it was horrible.
Wow.
I hated that place. And we ended up playing there. And there's no there. You go out there, and I would imagine it's a lot like, because there's a sound to football and a sound to the stadium, and the sound is you don't hear any. All you hear is this loud roar. You hear the hum of the crowd, so you don't hear yourself talk. You don't hear the clashing of your pad. You don't hear what you hear in practice. And so when you go in a game like this, you're like, man, this is the clown show. This is a real NFL game. Like, it's just a joke. And so that was one for me that I just absolutely hated. And they got away from that. They stopped that. They had some kind of agreement with the city, and they got rid of it. And I actually got hurt in a game in Green Bay. In fact, it was well, it wasn't Green Bay, it was Milwaukee. And it was kind of a situation where, I don't know if you remember Lomas Brown, one of my former teammates, offensive lineman. He worked at ESPN, and he's like, his claim was he was in a contract year, so he wanted to be controversial, so they would keep him on, so the more hot his take was, the higher his salary was going to be. And they asked him about, as a player, did you ever get frustrated when a quarterback wasn't playing you? And so, oh yeah, man. And so he goes on this tirade about how he was upset at how I was playing in Milwaukee. And I'm like, have you ever been to Milwaukee? No one can play good in Milwaukee. Like, yeah, I was mad, just so you know, Lomas. Anyway, so he makes this big comment that he literally let his guy go. And he's hoping that the guy would hit me, tackle me, and hurt me and get me out of the game. That was his claim. It wasn't true, because the footage lied, right? And it showed that he was lying. And it was actually Barry Sanders' guy that actually hit me. So I got hit, and it was not a big deal. I wasn't even sacked or anything in the play. And I got hit, and it was and I broke a bone in my wrist. And it was just kind of a glancing hit by a guy passing me, and he hit me with his helmet. Anyways, that play happened in Green Bay. And so that's been, some people are like, how is it to have one of your former teammates decide he wasn't going to block for you? And then Lomas apologized for it. And it was a weird deal, but yeah, absolutely. Milwaukee, I'm glad they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, that looks bad.
Yeah,
that does look bad.
All right, is that all we have for today?
I have one more quick one, if I may.
Yeah.
And this comes off of the conversation that you and Herman were having yesterday. And you talked about, I think when you were playing the Packers, that sometimes you would look over to see if you could get signals from them. I just want to know, is there an instance, not even necessarily of that, of where like you scanned the defense and saw something, or you were able to see something on the sidelines and it just clicked, and you were able to just use that and make just a great play out of it? I like the moments where you just kind of looking at it, I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and then make it kind of.
Yeah, there's there are times when so when I was drafted by the Dolphins, they handed you the playbook and they said, okay, you call your own plays in practice, and you're required to call a play and change it if it's a bad play. So you have, or if there's something you just see and you feel, you have the freedom to go and change the play at the line of scrimmage. And so there, so that's how I was introduced to the NFL. That's what I knew. And then I go to Detroit, and they didn't say I could or I couldn't. They didn't say anything. And the very first play that I ever played in Detroit, like the first play, it wasn't even the Atlanta Falcons. It was our home opener, and it was the first play of the game. And we had, I believe we had a running play on, and they had more guys than we could block. right? And so you just like you just come up with the line of scrimmage and go, okay. So I changed the first play. The first play I ever had in Detroit, and I believe it or not actually called a pass play, and I called a slant route, and I hit Herman Moore on a slant route. It was like a 17-yard gain on the first play that I was in Detroit. Now we did things where, it's hard to describe to people, but there's a lot of like nonverbal communication that goes on, and it's not there's some stuff that's like it's like you give a signal, right? And so that's obvious, but there's sometimes when you just kind of look at them. You just kind of look at them through the side, you tilt your head or you kind of nod or you something, and they kind of nod back, and you just like, okay, we know what we're doing right here, and it's no signal, it's no plan. And we started, especially down on the goal line, we'd have a running play called, and I kind of tilt my head sideways, and Herman Moore would, yep, gotcha. And we would throw a fade route, and it was a running play. And that was a lot of the RPO stuff. Now, there wasn't this play action fake or keep the ball, with a lot of it, but it's like we had running plays on. And I remember coming over to the sideline, we just scored a touchdown, and our offensive line coach, Paul Boudreau, is just beside himself. He's like, what are you guys doing out there? It's a running play. It's like you're going to have a illegal man downfield. And I'm like, I'm taking one step and I'm throwing a fade route. Like, this ball's gone so fast, no one's going to even know. And in a lot of ways, it helped the play because it looked like a run, and it was a run. And there were only two people that didn't know it was a run. And then there's another one that it's when you have a running play on, and you talk about, you just come up the line of scrimmage and just go, okay, I'm just going to keep this, right? And you'll see players that do this. And there was one time I was playing with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Corey Dillon on this day, I think he rushed for, I don't know, it was like 260 yards. It was a record in the NFL, like him personally, like he had this day. Corey Dillon, by the way, was a great running back, very underappreciated running back in the NFL. One of my favorite running backs, actually, believe it or not, and I played with Barry Sanders, but Corey Dillon, man, he was a hammer. Whoa, he was a good running back.
Loved watching him. Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't tell anyone. I don't tell Corey. I don't tell a soul. And we have I want to say it was like a fourth down, and we decided to go for it. And it's like 4th and 1.5. And so I fake the handoff and I run around the end and get the first down. And it continued to drive, and it actually allowed him to break the record at the time to keep that drive going, because it was pretty late in the game at that point. And then I think a couple of plays later, he goes and gets the record. But it's one of those things where it's hard to describe. It's not like someone just says, okay, if you have this, do this. It's like you just go, right now, this is what I should do. And it's really an intuitive thing. It's just an instinct thing. It's not, you don't change a play a lot of times. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And now when I was with Bobby Ross, like they're like, you do not audible at all. And like, you're not changing anything. And that was hard because I remember we were playing the New York Jets. In fact, Aaron Glenn, who's the coach for the Jets now, he was the cornerback. Bill Parcells was playing. It was a game where we won the game. We were in the playoffs. And the same thing with the Jets. The winner of the game made the playoffs. Barry Sanders rushed for over 2,000 yards in the game, and we had a player die on the field. Like he actually died. He broke his neck, and he swallowed his tongue, and basically choked. And they revived him on the field. It was just a surreal game. But there was a moment, sometime during the game, and I'm like, oh man, I should call this route. And it's, you run hitches on the outside, and you run your slot receiver on a seam, and you pump the hitch because the free safety will fly to the side you pump, and then the seam route's wide open. And it's a play that still run in the NFL today. We ran it all the time when I was in Detroit with Tom Moore, and he took it with him, and Peyton Manning threw it all the time. And John Gruden threw it in Tampa Bay, and in fact, he got Rich Gannon to throw an interception on it because the free safety didn't in the Super Bowl when the Bucks beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl, and so I was like, oh, I wish I could call that play right now, and I was just like, no, I can't. For whatever reason, that play just still sticks out in my mind because I'm like, that would have been a touchdown, but they wouldn't let me change the play. So, all right, there you have it. Any more questions? We can do this all day if you want. All right.
I mean, I know I'll have more, so we'll have to do this again for sure.
Oh, definitely. This is fun. I like this. Yeah, this is way fun. All right, we'll come back after the break here with so much more. We'll just make it up as we go along. Actually, no, this will be a fun one. It's called "Sucks to Be You," and there's some folks out there in the sports world right now. Your life is better than theirs. We'll explain it when we come back.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. So glad you could join us. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Don't wait around. Don't waste any moment doing it. So we're happy you could be a part of our show. Now, from time to time, we do segments that are unique and individual, and this one is Sucks to Be You. And it's something I've done in the past, and what it is, it's to make you feel better about your life. So you hear about these poor athletes and the terrible, awful things that happen to them. And then by hearing this, which is why we tune into the news, we realize that our life is better than theirs. Now, there's this saying that goes on, somebody has it worse. Like somebody has it worse than you right now. That's kind of the optimistic view of looking at your life and the challenges and the struggles you have. And I just want to meet the person, the last one who, you go through the whole entire world and you go, that person right there has it worse off than anyone else. I want to meet him. I want to know who it is. I want to know why their life is so horrible and awful and terrible. But right now, we're going to talk about these poor, pitiful athletes, and some of them aren't athletes, and how they have it worse off than you. We start with none other than Drake May. Yes, Drake May, the guy who was a first-round draft choice. Of course, he was a highly sought after player and has performed. And he's a guy that ultimately getting to the Super Bowl like the Patriots did in his young career, and the fact that he's got several years left on his rookie contract is going to make it very, very exciting for the New England Patriots. They're going to have a nice little run here. But right now, Drake May is not. Now, he does have a guaranteed $36 million contract, so he gets all of that money. And he doesn't get money to go to the Super Bowl. So there's no incentive. There's no bonus. There's no nothing. Rookie quarterback, rookie deals in general are not incentive laden. Collective bargaining agreement doesn't allow for that. And so it's kind of sucky for Drake May because he could capitalize if he was in a different situation. Now, if you compare him to Sam Darnold has already made an extra $3 million. Actually, it's $4.5 million. And so he got all these bonuses for things that he did throughout the year, but he also got a bonus of $1.5 million to make it to the Super Bowl. And on top of that, if he wins the Super Bowl, it's $2.5 million. So he's making more money in bonuses and incentives than Drake May is actually making in his base salary and all the salary he's actually going to get this year. Now it's all monopoly money, and it always, it's just ridiculous money, all of it. I mean, Drake May's rookie deal is very handsome, healthy, and wonderful, but he's not getting paid extra, not getting those bonuses to go and make the Super Bowl, because you don't make the Super Bowl every year. You don't have the opportunity to take advantage of those bonus situations, and he won't. So, and Drake May, I mean, if Drake May continues to play, he's going to get paid. He's going to get a second contract, and then it's not going to suck so much. But right now, it sucks to be Drake May. Okay, Mattress Mike, right? Do we all know who he is? He is the guy who actually makes these ridiculous bets. It's Mattress Mac, sorry. A guy in Texas, and he puts these wagers on. Usually, it's the Super Bowl, and it's ridiculous, and he gets all this publicity from it. But this year, he's put $2 million on the Super Bowl winner. And so he has $2 million on the New England Patriots. He thinks the New England Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. And here's the thing. And this is why, well, what does this have to do with sucks to be you? Well, Mattress Mac is a guy that has to do this. Like, he's put himself out there and in this egregious fashion. And I think he's done 10 million before. Like, they're crazy amounts of money. And most of the time he loses. But it's not the fact that he's going to win or lose this. It's the fact that he has to put so much money up. And I'm sure that he uses it as some kind of a, promotion or advertising. He just says, this is my advertising budget. It's just, I put crazy amounts of money, and hopefully it draws people in and you buy a mattress from me. And just because I'm crazy and outrageous and that's what brings people in. I just think it sucks to be him because he has to do it. Like, he's put himself out there and he throws away, or maybe he makes, because I'd be fun to go look through his actual history of success. I don't think it's very good. But regardless, he's bound to be an idiot. And he has an obligation to do so. And that just kind of sucks. He's gotten himself in this web of gambling ridiculous amounts of money, and his life is, it probably has a lot of fun. I mean, if he can bet all that money, he's probably got a lot of money. All right. Speaking of sucks to be you, it's Bo Nix. Here's the thing so he had this ankle injury, right? Breaks his ankle, and he's kind of a lot of terrible things going on. First of all, he's right on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl. I actually think the Broncos would have won that game had he played. I just think his experience, he was the guy that was ready to play, and it's certainly, I think they would have had a much higher probability of winning, and it was a very close game regardless. So I just think it would have been different had he been around. So he has this freak accident and breaks his ankle, and the doctors are saying it was inevitable. Like you have no choice. It's just, it was going to happen sooner or later, but it was going to happen. And it was just, he was deposed for this type of situation. And it just sucks that it had to happen in that moment. And then to pile it on, he was not happy that the team disclosed the fact that he'd had several surgeries in the past. The good news, or the bad news, is that he'll actually recover from this in 4 to 6 weeks. So there you have it. Those are the people in the world that have it a lot worse off than you. So feel happy about yourself, because you're not one of the sucks to be you people on our list. All right, when we come back, we've got more hot headlines, a lot of NBA talk, and I think we got a lot of other fun stuff as well. So stick around. The Down and Dirty will be back shortly.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could be a part of our show. So glad you tune in. I really appreciate it. I know I say that all the time and every time, and I just have to reiterate my gratitude for this. I love doing this, and I'm kind of out there in the world and just laying it on the line every day, and I love doing it. And so I appreciate when you tune in. I appreciate all the people that help bring this to pass and are a part of what we do here on the Down and Dirty. So if you're just tuning in or wondering, the Down and Dirty is my take from someone who's been there, give it to you in a way that I think sports should be given to you, and it's not some fluffy words or fancy this or that. And it's from someone who's been there and done that. So that's where we are. Okay. There are crazy things going on. We got some hot headlines that we're going to go over here. We got quite a few of them. We'll see all of what we get through or what we don't get through, but we'll figure it out as we go along. All right. First off, this was crazy. I told you earlier that a player's jersey went for $150,000, and it was Jason Williams' rookie jersey with the Sacramento Kings. It was a white jersey. Apparently, there aren't very many of these. And when I saw this, I was a little surprised, not that a jersey went for $150,000, but it was like, why was it Jason Williams jersey? Like, what was the hook on this? Kind of to have fun. I look at all the memorabilia from myself and a lot of it's like, we'll give it away for free. They actually don't. There's some value in it, and not a lot. It's not going to go to my retirement, but there is a little bit. Anyways, so Jason Williams jersey sold for $150,000. You don't know who it was to, but it was to someone else. But here's this: the funny part about this was Jason Williams. He says, it's crazy to me, the prices on merchandise, cards, things like that. But it's pretty cool that somebody got that kind of money to spend on my raggedy ass jersey. Williams told ESPN, I need all my teammates' numbers on that jersey too. Without them, teammates, there's no 55. I'm just thankful, brother. So even Jason Williams was kind of shocked and surprised at his jersey and how much it actually went for. And for the life of me, now I have my studio. I'm sitting in my studio right now, and I actually have memorabilia in my studio. I didn't pay for any of it. I'm trying to think. Did I pay for? Well, I did. I mean, I paid for it with blood, sweat, and tears, and all kinds of stuff. But I'm trying to think why people like memorabilia, and of course, it's to have something that is rare, like that not other people have. It's to have something, to have a conversation, to, it's this whole thing about, collecting stuff, and collecting stuff is kind of fun. Now, like for me, what I like to collect is fly rods. Like I love to fly fish. And so I have quite a collection of those, and they're not cheap, by the way. They're not $150,000, but it's kind of my thing. So I get what people have, but I look in my studio here, and I have things that it's weird, but they mean a lot to me. But I question what I paid money for them. For example, I have a football from Michael Irvin. So Michael Irvin actually signed a football for me. I was on a reality TV show, and he came on one of the episodes that I was on, and it was football related. And so anyways, so it's kind of fun to have him sign the football. And then as a kid, I got a football from a professional football game, Houston Oilers, Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course that was signed by my childhood hero, Gifford Nielsen, who was a longtime backup quarterback in the NFL for the Houston Oilers, and then went on to be the sports program director at one of the stations down in Houston. I also got another ball with all the Houston Oilers signs. So I got a Bum Phillips signature. I've got an Earl Campbell signature. I have a Sergei Fedorov hockey puck. So I have a lot of these things, and of course, I've got. I think my most prized possession, and it's just funny. I have a football signed by Emmitt Smith too. We were in a thing back in college. We were Good Samaritans. We were Fiesta Bowl Samaritan All-Americans, and we went to this banquet in Phoenix, and it was in the off season. We were in college at the time, and so all the guys that were on there, Louis Riddick, who was actually an announcer on ESPN, was on there. Tony Rice, who had played at Notre Dame, so Martin will appreciate that, and Emmitt Smith. So that was fun, actually, to have that. But my prized possession, I have a basketball, and it's signed by John Stockton and Karl Malone. I'm a lifelong Utah Jazz fan. I'm suffering. I hate to talk about the Jazz on my show right now. This is because it makes no sense to me what they're doing. I know, and I appreciate it, and I know I should be a good fan. And I'm not being not a good fan, but I'm just like, man, this whole process of rebuilding and has been a long process, and so I'm just I can't get too wrapped up in it because it'll drive me crazy. But looks like they've got some young pieces together, and some of them they don't. So they're figuring it out. But I've got John Stockton, Karl Malone. Now people go, because they're considered some of the greatest NBA basketball players of all time. But what's cool about it is that they very rarely signed a basketball together, both of them on the same basketball. So that is one of my fames to claim. My claim to fame. I believe that's how you say it. Anyways, Okay, some more hot headlines here, and I think this is funny. And I think it's funny for so many reasons, but, apparently, of course, Aaron Glenn fired most of his coaches. Like, he's like he just said, you're out," and now he's hired a new defensive coordinator. He goes, "But I'm calling the defense," and so and a lot of people tell you, when you're an NFL head coach, it's like, "This is your shot, so, call your shots, play it the way you wanna play it." I can't fault anyone for doing this. I can certainly question some of the moves they make, and you're kinda scratching your head going, "Okay, what was that about?" Kinda thing, and so, anyways, he apparently was, interested in John Gruden as an offensive coordinator. Now, John Gruden is John Gruden to me is one of the fascinating personalities in the NFL. He's very much a lightning rod. He's a guy that, you either really like him or you really don't. And those are the kind of people that I like because they're interesting. Whatever it is, even if you don't like him, it's interesting. It's interesting why you don't like him. And John Gruden's made it very clear. Now he sued the NFL, and he was basically fired from his job with the Raiders, and it was over emails, and it was like, how did those emails were private, should have never gotten out in the public, regardless of what they said, and someone had it in for John Gruden. They're like, all right, and he apparently rubbed someone extremely wrong, so he's in this lawsuit with the NFL, and looks like, I believe, I don't even know where it is right now, but I believe he's had some wins on some rulings that have been very helpful to him. So, but he's made it very clear he wants to get back into coaching. And I think it's kind of like, I hate the league, but I love it. And I hate it right now, and I'm suing it, but I want to be a part of it. He goes, and he's like, I want to coach. And I think he wanted to coach anywhere. And so, and he does this stuff on social media, on the internet. He's with someone right now, and so I always see these John Gruden clips out there of things that he's doing, and it's comical. And he does this Fired Football Coaches Association. So any football coach that's been fired, he comes in, and he has a little office, and he gets all this memorabilia, right, from all these people. So these schools will send him like these care packages, and he gets these care packages and does his whole thing. But here is an opportunity to coach and go out and he claims that that's what he wants to do. He wants to get back. He wants to coach. He wants to be that guy right now. And he has an opportunity to go to the Jets. And John Gruden, in one of his little shorts on social media, said, "Look, I may be, I may be pretty cocky or confident that I can help anyone win. And so and it's like, okay, well, put your money where your mouth is and go coach at the Jets then." And he didn't. He turned him down. And I think that's funny. And that, here he's trying to get back in the league and trying to do something, but it's like, nah, I'm going to pass on that one. It's like, all right, John Gruden, I think you should go coach at the Jets. I think it'd be interesting. All right, moving on with our hot headlines here. This is kind of interesting. So LeBron James, the Cavaliers, of course, that's where he was drafted and first came up, and of course, left and has been several places since the Cavaliers. Played, which might be his last game ever in Cleveland, and they, of course, gave him quite a rousing, I guess, tribute video and all of those things. And it was quite fascinating because you don't see a lot of emotion per se out of someone like LeBron, and he actually got quite teared up over this video. Now, I don't think it's come out and said, I'm retiring, but it kind of feels like maybe he is, or maybe it's his last go around. And I'm always fascinated with LeBron and just how much he moves the needle in the NBA, and how, they haven't won a championship for a long time. But he's just been one of these consistently amazing players throughout all these years. So I don't want to say that it's it's curtain time, or it's a farewell for LeBron, but it sure feels like it. And I would imagine, going back to your place of birth in professional sports, it has a sentimental value to you, and especially because he's from Cleveland and the whole thing. But because I think about, and I think about this quite often, and it's always meant a tremendous amount to me, like the team that drafted you. I was drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and for the rest of my life, and for always, and I've always felt that way. I've just always been so grateful to the organization. It was a cool thing for me to say, hey, the all-time winningest coach in the NFL likes you. Like, he likes you so much he drafted you. And that just always, it's always meant a lot to me. People ask me, which of your teams, who do you cheer for, who do you vote for, or who do you want to win? And I always say, I don't necessarily want one or the other or any of them. It's just I look at football in a very unique way. But I always want the Dolphins to win, always. And people ask, where was your favorite place to play? And it was with the Miami Dolphins, even though I wasn't starting. There's just something about the team that actually picks you and likes you and thinks you're wonderful. It really is. It means a tremendous amount in those situations. So I kind of get the whole emotion of what's happening with LeBron, and kind of going back to your birth in professional sports. It was a very meaningful thing to me. And on top of it, now for me, it's nice to practice in November, in December, in warm weather. Oh man, I think of all the things that I enjoyed about playing for the Miami Dolphins. That was number one. It really was. Now it was hard in the summer, but everywhere you played in the summer. I mean, I played for Detroit, Michigan was hot in the summer on occasion. Cincinnati, Ohio. We had our training camp in Georgetown, Kentucky. And that was probably the most stifling. And I remember them telling me this before, and I go, look, I live in Florida, and I'm used to humidity. And I got there, and I'm telling you, it was different humidity. Miami had humidity, but it had this ocean breeze. Like it wasn't as hot, it wasn't as stifling as other places that have humidity, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Okay, so Giannis, of course, is apparently he's ready to be traded out of Milwaukee. Now, we talked about bad places to play, and I think what's hard, when a player says, "Look, I want to be traded. I want to go somewhere else. I'm not happy here," and he's won a championship there. He really has kind of, it's a little bit like LeBron. He's Cleveland and wanted to go somewhere else, and so the big question is, because there's a lot of talk about Giannis being traded to a lot of different places and what would make the most sense for him, and clearly it's one of those things where you're going to go to someone that's going to massively enhance their opportunity to win a championship. And there's a lot of places he could go, and there's been a lot of discussion about what looks like what. But you have to ask yourself, and are you willing to go trade for a guy that's 31 years old? And I think with the way the play, I probably so. I mean, well, absolutely. I mean, if you could get a Giannis, and of course, what do you get for him, and what are you giving up, and does it make a lot of sense to do that with the type of player? Because you might have to give up, a young talent or something of substance. They're not just going to give him away, or maybe, because some teams are stupid and they'll do things like that. And so that's kind of the question. Because I think of, one, would he ever go to the Utah Jazz? that's my team. And I don't know. I think he'd fit in great with the Utah Jazz, with the culture here, with everything. But I don't know that Giannis going to the Jazz is something that gives them a championship right now. I think but it's that type of player. It's almost that time for the Jazz. But Giannis goes, look, I want to win right now. I don't want to maybe win in a couple of years or a year or so. So maybe that trade isn't quite ripe yet for the Jazz. But it's the type of player. It's this superstar player. It's this disgruntled or kind of worn out his welcome or just kind of ready to move on type of player. And you look at Kevin Durant and some of the trades with him, and it looks like it's doing well with the Houston Rockets, but it didn't go well in Phoenix, didn't go well in Brooklyn. It went well for a minute with Golden State, but he just couldn't handle that he wasn't the guy, that it wasn't all about Kevin Durant. So, I don't know that Giannis is kind of cut from the same cloth as Kevin Durant. He's certainly a force. He's certainly a player that has a lot of value. And so we'll see. All right. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we have so much more. We got some crazy NFL stuff going on. We'll just continue with this madness that is the Down and Dirty here in a few minutes.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
Hey, welcome back, sports fans. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. We're going to do something fun. We love lists. We love rankings. We love all those things. We love opinions. And we found a good one through ESPN. So ESPN ranked its, top 15 coaches of the since 2001. So they base it off of, kind of record, Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff. A lot of coaching changes here, 10. And it's kind of fascinating if you look at the pecking order of number one, the coaches, right? Who got hired. Harbaugh was right up there with the first ones. But then you also look at the teams. And so you have teams like the Cleveland Browns, and you have the Arizona Cardinals, and you have some of these teams that are not the highly favored, highly sought after jobs. In fact, I think Ron Rivera is being considered for the Cardinals head coaching job. Ron Rivera hasn't been coaching since 2023. it's a situation where, you know, the good things get done first, and it's just kind of, it's like recess. You know, when you went out and you're gonna, you know, play back when they let you play dodgeball and all that stuff at recess, and you pick the teams, and you could tell the pecking order, you know, where you fit in the pecking order. It's kind of seeing that, kind of funny with the coaches. Okay, anyway, so this is ranking the top teams, performance, playoff success, and just kind of the impact these coaches have had. So here's the list. Of course, Martin is going to chime in when he feels like this is absolutely egregious. So the number one ranked coach over the last 5 seasons is none other than Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions. I was, look, it's kind of, you know, I think if you had said this a year ago, I think you'd be like, but it feels like something is that, like, maybe there's a slow leak in the tire in Detroit where it's just like, man, you know, maybe the Lions are just eking their way back to becoming the Lions that everyone knows and loves. And it's like it felt like they had their window. They made all this momentum. Boy, it was exciting what had happened with Dan Campbell and what they were doing. But now it's like, you know, this year was tough. Last year was tough. I really thought they were gonna go somewhere, but yeah, I think that's a bit surprising to me, actually. That Dan Campbell's.
I agree. I think it's basically based off on the fact that if you can, I mean, we can think through Lions history here real quick. He's probably the most successful coach since you were playing with the Lions. I mean, I can't think of another coach that's had the same success. Maybe Jim Schwartz, but that's because he had, you know, Megatron and Matthew Stafford. I mean, the fact that he took a team from 3 wins to 8 wins to 11 wins to 14 wins in 5 seasons, I give him credit for that. And if they're just basing it off of since 2021, I can't argue with the fact that he's at 1. I think it would be a better ranking if either the Lions made the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl, but I can't really argue with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just that the Lions were so bad for so long, you know, to your point. But number 2 is Nick Sirianni. Now, what's fascinating about Nick Sirianni is a lot of people are saying he may be done. Like, if he has another bad year, or because there's just some really weirdness going on internally in that organization, and I think they should clearly have been a team that got back to the Super Bowl, but they weren't. But he's won you know, he's been in the playoffs, won a Super Bowl, been to 2 in the last 5 years. I'm trying to figure out why he isn't number 1 based off of like this criteria. But they have Nick Sirianni at number 2. In a year from now, shoot, it may be Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni on the chopping block, and they're headed somewhere else. I mean, that's how crazy and fickle this NFL is these days.
I agree with you. I think everybody's starting to see it, and I've told this to some Philadelphia Eagles fans that I know, some of my friends, that the Eagles last year won in spite of Nick Sirianni. You know this. I mean, quarterbacks and teams can win in spite of the head coach. The head coach isn't just absolutely the real reason why teams succeed. So I think everyone in the NFL is starting to see that Sirianni is a good coach, but Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown were so mad. They're like, you know what? We'll prove this guy wrong. We'll go win a Super Bowl, and we'll make him relevant. And the real truth is it was all Kellen Moore and the offense. And if it wasn't for them and Vic Fangio's defense, the Eagles don't win last year.
All I know is he had the most bizarre introductory press conference I've ever seen. like it's just classic. And it's funny because so did Dan Campbell. Like a lot of people just rolling their eyes at this, and all of a sudden they're at the top of the list. All right, Mike McDonald, of course, he's been at Seattle for 2 years. And he ranks 3rd on this list, and I guess he just needs more seasoning, but to be 3rd on the list after just a couple of years, I guess is a pretty nice accomplishment. He took Sam Darnold and actually made Sam Darnold better than when he was at Minnesota, and really, you know, I think, and of course, I think the thing about the Seahawks, and I don't know that people appreciate this completely, but they're a team that really seamlessly plays well in all three phases of the game. Like they have the potential to really hurt you across the board. And when you have a team that can find ways in all three phases, that's hard to beat. And it's an understated part about the Seahawks. They're a very, very good, very complete football team, and Mike McDonald has done just a phenomenal job there.
I 100% agree. I think if he wins this Super Bowl, I think he'll be one on the list next year if they redo this list. I 100% believe that. Baltimore is kicking themselves. How did we let this dude walk out of the building? If we were to position ourselves to say, no, John Harbaugh is going to be out very soon, why didn't you look at McDonald's and just say, let's just wait for a minute, keep him around, and that dude will be our next head coach. And what he's done in Seattle is phenomenal. I agree with you. All three phases of the game, special teams, offense, defense, have been top notch. I believe he'll be number one on this list next year.
Number 4 is Mike Vrabel. So, of course, he's only had 1 year at New England, 14-3, but just been phenomenal. Of course, he really turned the Patriots around. I did not see this coming at all. I don't know that anyone said, "Oh, Drake May is going to just really turn it on." But that's a lot of what has really happened here. And it's so much of success, I think, is about the culture that you bring, the expectation. I think that was what was really great about Dan Campbell and what he did. And I think Mike McDonald, you could argue the same thing, but there's just been a great culture that Mike Vrabel's brought to the Patriots.
I think the identity, I said it before when we talked about it on the show, he's Bill Belichick 2.0. He knows what it takes to win as a New England Patriot, and this season he has absolutely influenced all that throughout the entire organization. They're one win away from another Super Bowl. The empire's not gone. They didn't go away that long, man. The empire rises again.
Number 5, D'Amico Ryans with the Houston Texans. There you go, Zach. Your guy's he's in the top 5. He's been there for 3 seasons. He's won quite a few games since he's gone there. He's like a 62% winning percentage. And the Texans, to me, were just maybe their quarterback playing just a little bit better. Like the Texans scared me in the playoffs. I really thought they were going to make a very serious run at the playoffs. So it's going to be fascinating to see where they go playing forward, but clearly the best defense in the NFL, and they figure out a little bit on offense. And the Texans are a team that, has had a hard time winning, and D'Amico Ryans has just done a phenomenal job and got them in a really nice place. And they're one of those, like, I like to look at teams trending in a direction, and like the Lions, the Eagles, they feel like they're trending the other way, and the Houston Texans feel like they're trending in the right way.
I 100% agree. I mean, the way they started this season, the struggle, they were 1-3 after 4 games. They just didn't look, offensively at the way that they wanted to. Defensively, you're right, best defense. He's turned that team around. They were 2 wins. The next season, they went to the playoffs with 10 wins. So a phenomenal job by D'Amico Ryan. He learned from Robert Saleh. He was the DC for San Fran when Robert went to New York. 100%. I agree with that. D'Amico deserves to be that high on that list. It's just now they got to get over the divisional round hump. They haven't won a game in that round at all, and he's just got to find a way to get that team over the hump to the AFC title game.
All right, next on the list is Sean Payton.
Ooh.
So he's number 3 on the list. And here's the thing. You talk about teams trending in the right direction. Like, they're going to get rid of Russell Wilson's like $25 million dead money. They've found a quarterback who looks like he's going to be a guy in the future. And Sean Payton is a tremendous coach. They got a great defense there. Really, if the Broncos aren't competing again to go to the Super Bowl next year, they just had everyone got injured, but they're ripe to go get some depth to get some changers, change agent with a player in free agency. I mean, they can do a whole lot to really solidify this team. And so often you have holes, with the team. You don't have everything, and the Broncos are in a position where they may not have any holes anyway. Maybe they get some more explosion in the wide receiver position. Who knows? But this is a team that has the capability now, and to do what they've done. I think under the circumstance, I mean, it's to just say, look, Russell Wilson's not our guy, and paying him all that money could have just been like detrimental to the Broncos. And Sean Payton weathered through that nicely, picked the guy that he really wanted and knew and liked, and got him in, and has done a phenomenal job of developing Bo Nix. And so I think it's tremendous what he's done with the Broncos. I think he should probably be higher on the list.
I put him there in the middle of the list. I think as long as Bo Nix stays healthy, it doesn't snow in Denver in a title game, and Sean Payton is still fully healthy, being that at his midpoint of his age, I think the Broncos are for sure a true contender to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West for that division, and are going to be a serious contender for the Super Bowl for years to come.
All right, next on our list. Now, this is fascinating list. I like this. Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings. Oh, man, he's teetering. I mean, and he's done remarkable. I mean, Minnesota has really been incredible what's happened there. But the big question mark, it's really J.J. McCarthy. I mean, and it's maybe some health issues, but clearly had a down year. Kevin has been in Minnesota for 4 years now. But had a down year last year, but a lot of it was because the quarterback was injured and just couldn't quite stay healthy. And you have to wonder if that's a consistent thing with JJ McCarthy. Is he injury prone, and is that a bad thing? But right now, Kevin O'Connell sits at number 7.
KOC is a smart head coach. He's a great one. He's in my division.
Did you say KFC? It's KOC. 11 herbs and spices. Oh no, you're talking about KOC.
Listen, I mumble.
I'm a little hungry right now, Martin.
I have a little speech impediment when I was a kid, man. Sometimes O sounds like an F. Okay, so, but Kevin O'Connell's done a phenomenal job in Minnesota. I hate to say it, they chose the wrong quarterback. Sam Darnold was the guy. JJ McCarthy's not the guy, and I feel bad for Justin Jefferson. He's such a phenomenal, talented receiver, and to be buried with that team at the bottom of the division is just a heartbreak to such a superior talent.
Okay. I'm gonna just leave this one for you. Ben Johnson is number 8 at Chicago. Go Martin.
Bear down, Chicago Bears.
Oh.
Listen, what's there to say? He should be higher on this list. In the near future, when the Chicago Bears win a dozen Super Bowls, he passes all the NFL coaching records, playoff records, every record there is to be broken. Listen, he did a phenomenal job this past season. The fact is, Matt Eberflus was a horrible head coach. Caleb Williams just needed someone to believe in him. It was rough. It was a tough way to learn, but the Bears are in a position to win for years to come. Ben Johnson's a smart guy. And honestly, I honestly think, Scott, you mentioned about the Detroit Lions and going downward with Dan Campbell. I think they're going to be kicking themselves in a couple of years saying, man, we should have just said, Dan Campbell, we love you. You got us on the right track, but Ben Johnson's the guy we need to go forward with. I think they're going to be kicking themselves in a few years when they're back in the position of being just mediocre in the division. They're no longer the top dogs in the NFC North. I think that's going to happen one day. So Ben Johnson's done a phenomenal job with the Bears. He'll be higher on that list next season.
Yeah. It sure feels like, it feels like the Bears are headed in the right direction, and Caleb Williams is he's still a little wild stallion. There's still some wildness in his game.
Yeah.
And he's really trying to hone it all in. So they're going to be fascinating, because it's going to boil down to Caleb Williams just continuing to take these steps towards playing at an elite level. Like he plays at an uber talented level right now, He plays as a young, wild Brett Favre kind of player right now, and being able to hone that in to some degree, to that's really gonna ultimately be their success. Do they have a hangover next year from things? They're going to play a tougher schedule next year, so there's but it feels again like they're certainly a team trending in the right direction. Really like what Ben Johnson has done with the Bears, and I felt like they were a team they're going to make the playoffs, and the question was, could they make a run in the playoffs, and they did, and that says something. So that's good. Harbaugh, Jim, not John, to number 9 to the Los Angeles Chargers. This one's a little like Jim Harbaugh has just found success wherever he's been. Sometimes it takes him a hot minute to do it, but he figures it out. There's a lot of really good places in pieces in place for him, and he's done a remarkable job. Justin Herbert, is a great talent. They've had a lot of injuries. It's going to be fascinating to see what Mike McDaniel, but I think Harbaugh's done a pretty decent job with the Chargers.
I believe so too. I hate to say that I think Jim Harbaugh is a phenomenal head coach, but I think the curse of the Los Angeles Chargers is just it's so deep into that team. Eric Coryell couldn't get him over the hump. They had Marty Schottenheimer, he couldn't get over the hump. Mike Norvell was there, he couldn't get him over the hump. So they've had all these phenomenal offensive coaches, and they've just never found a way to get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to win a lot of games with the Chargers. They just got to find a way to beat that playoff curse and actually get over the hump. I tip my cap. Jim Harbaugh has done a phenomenal job with everything there, and getting Mike McDaniel to come in and be the offense coordinator. I think it's another great step for this team.
Number 11 is Liam Cohen with the Jaguars.
Duval.
I think, I think of all the coaches, he was the biggest surprise for me, the success he had. And, Trevor Lawrence is a talent. And when Trevor Lawrence is healthy, they're he's kind of figuring stuff out. Who we forget? We forget Travis Hunter. He was this phenomenal and kind of been injured. Is he a guy that he didn't make much of a contribution this year? Some. So we'll see where Travis Hunter is down the road. But Liam Cohen is number 11.
Listen, Cohen has done again a phenomenal job. I keep using that adjective for these coaches. 14 wins in your first season. You take the AFC South after it was predominantly thought of that was going to be the Houston Texans, and he did an excellent job with that and getting Trevor Lawrence to believe and to have fun in playing football. You bring up Travis Hunter. I wonder, Scott, if when we played Pee-wee football or we played, high school football, we played both sides of the ball. And then we got to college. They told us, no, you got to pick one side of it because your body just won't be able to handle it. I wonder if Travis learned that lesson in his rookie year. Like, listen, I may have been able to do that in college, but in the pros, playing both sides of the ball is just so much more demanding than I thought. And his body may have just broken down on him during the season. So I wonder if he'll choose one side of the ball next year. But Cohen has done a great job in Jacksonville, and let's see if they can repeat that next season.
Okay, I want to do something because it's basically this ranking is of all 37 hires in the last 5 years.
Okay.
And so there's 37 on here. We're not going to go through all 37, but I'm going to go to the bottom of the list right now because it's quite fascinating and it's kind of it's really fascinating. So so the worst hire, I'm going to see if you can guess this. The worst hire in the last 5 years, number 37. Who do you think that is?
Okay, let's play it this way. Give me, don't give me the division, but give me AFC or NFC.
AFC.
Pete Carroll.
Good guess. He's on the list. He's on the naughty list. He's down the list a little bit. There. He's 31. So Pete Carroll's 31 on the list. But number 37 is Urban Meyer.
Oh,
with the
I completely forgot about
He didn't even quite make it through a season. And to me, Urban Meyer is just so fascinating because Urban Meyer was just an incredible. He's an incredible football coach. Like he's
Yeah.
very good. And for whatever reason, everything was wrong. It was just bad. It was, and I don't understand. It must have been really bad. It must have been because Urban Meyer's tough. Like he runs a tight ship. He runs a tough ship. He's like this is, he's a pretty demanding coach, and you have to wonder if that type of mindset just didn't fit right. Just something in Jacksonville, because he didn't even make it through a season.
No.
So it was really bad.
I mean, when you kick a kicker, you're not gonna really be liked in a locker room. I don't think that gets away in the NFL.
Number 36. So the second one was Frank Reich, who again didn't make it through his first season with the Carolina Panthers. Now Frank played for the Panthers, kind of had a history there, had some minimal success as a head coach, but he just never clicked. And I don't think he wanted Bryce Young actually when they picked Bryce Young, and I think he wanted C.J. Stroud, and so and Bryce Young was not very good when he first got there, so it's kind of tough sledding.
I agree with that. The one little thing I'll say about that is when you're selected as a head coach, you don't get your quarterback. Understandable, you want the guy to run your offense, but to throw a hissy fit to then demolish the rookie season of Bryce Young's rookie season, to do that on purpose to show that he isn't the guy, is 100% a worthy reason to get fired. You can't do that as a head coach. You're not going to win that power struggle, and Frank Reich learned that lesson.
All right. I'm gonna read through and just kind of tell you how bad this organization is. So in the last 5 years, the 30th worst coach was Antonio Pierce with the Los Angeles Raiders. He made it through 2 seasons. Pete Carroll was 31. He made it through 1 season. And Josh McDaniels was 32, and he made it through. Well, it was kind of part of 2 seasons. He was fired before the end of his second season. So 30, 31, and 32 all belong to the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think it's going to take more than Tom Brady's ownership to get this thing righted. There's just something really wrong with the Raiders, and the Raiders, although they've had. They're a fun team, they're a fun team to be a fan of because they're the Raiders.
Yeah.
But they may be worse than the Jets.
Just like the Bears, we hang on to 85 so long. We don't stop talking about 85. I wonder what it's like to be an older Raiders fan and thinking back to Super Bowl 11, Super Bowl 15, and Super Bowl 18 and thinking we won 3 Super Bowls in 10 seasons and we had a phenomenal run. And I don't think they ever forget about those seasons because they know those were the glory days for the Raiders. One of these days, the Raiders will be back, and they will be back for a long time.
I think the NFL, I think all of us, we need the Raiders to come back. So, all right, 100%. Speaking of coming back, we're going to leave. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to play a game, and it's called Would You Rather. So you can play along with us at home, and you'll enjoy this. This is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty Air, Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. So like and subscribe. Been a fun show today. We like to have, we like to end it on a positive note. As often as we don't really like negative notes, anyways. So, we like no negative Nancy's on this deal.
Nope.
Anyways, we like to play games from time to time. Martin, he puts together his fun little lists of things that he likes and doesn't like. And so we're going to do Would You Rather. And he always gives me these different scenarios. And I kind of roll my eyes. Every time you do this, I roll my eyes. But then you ask the questions. I'm like, geez, Martin, you come up with some good questions.
Well,
all right. So fire away. You take control of the game. You are our Pat Sajak. You're our Bob Barker running the show. Let's do it.
Well, now I wish I had a elongated little microphone stake to walk out on.
And you need like a suit and tie. Come on.
Yeah, man. I gotta go get a suit and tie. I haven't rocked
and a lot of
suit and tie
makeup.
in
You need a lot of powder. Put a lot of powder on your face.
So it's Would You Rather. You can play at home. It's just scenario questions, and Scott gets to choose which one he would prefer. All right, Scott, let's take you back to your playing days. Would you have rather been selected to the Pro Bowl or be selected for the All-Pro team?
See, I think back when I played, I would much rather be in the Pro. The Pro Bowl was like a very prestigious thing. Like it was a mark of, hey, this is a perennial Pro Bowler. This guy is a 6-time, 7-time, 8-time Pro Bowler. And today, Shadur Sanders is making the Pro Bowl. like it's just ridiculous what it's become. It was really something of status. Now, All Pro is a different thing because that is the elite of the elite list, but one that I don't think people it's not one that was necessarily talked about as much or emphasized as much. The Pro Bowl, if you're talking about my playing days back in the day, it would definitely be the Pro Bowl. But today, it might be the a lot of guys started it's just kind of thing. They were named to the Pro Bowl and then they're like, I'm not going. And because you've been there for a couple of times. So, but I'd say Pro Bowl.
Okay. All right. I like it. All Pro Bowl. For me, it'd be the All Pro team. To have an All Pro or have multiple of those teams on your little check mark, I think that'd be the better decision. But that's my choice.
Well, it's a more elite thing, that's for sure.
We're asking for your choice. So my choice is a little diminished. All right, Scott. Would you rather, back to your playing days, would you rather have a phenomenal season on a bad team or a mediocre season on a great team?
Okay, so knowing how I'm wound up, like to me, it's just about winning, right? And there's a lot of people who are just like, look, I just want to have a good career. I want to pad my stats. I want to look good. It's all about me. It's my world. I know it's hard actually when you win a game sometimes and you didn't have a lot of impact in the game and you feel like, oh man, you kind of wish you had more of an impact in the outcome. Usually when you're on a good team, you don't have a mediocre season. But I think I would rather be on a great team. And the season just be mediocre is kind of it's a misleading term. So maybe an average year or just kind of a so-so year kind of thing on a great team. Yeah, I would do that over a phenomenal one for sure.
All right. Let's go to this one. Would you rather play for a coach getting his first chance at being a head coach, or would you rather play for a veteran, established head coach?
Ooh, for me, it's more of it would be more. Because see, a younger coach is probably going to make more mistakes, but he's also someone you could really grow with. I mean, you took it like a Ben Johnson, that would be a fun thing to be, or even like Dan Campbell when he started. Some of these young coaches, that would be really exciting to be a part of. But then you look at a guy like Andy Reid, and you go, man, I'd love to play for a guy like Andy Reid or a Sean Payton type of coach. Or I think I would. I think the safer money probably depends a lot on your position. But for me, if this is me, it's like I'm a veteran coach who is an offensive minded coach who understands how to develop and nurture quarterbacks. I'm going with Andy Reid 100% of the way. That's who a veteran established head coach. That's who I want to play for.
All right, Scott. If you were in training camp first day, would you rather compete for your starting job or be given the position right out of the gate?
Oh, if you talk to Tom Brady, he's going to say, "Man, I want to compete for it. I want to work. I want to do all these things." And so often in camp they'll give everyone reps, right? And they're just like, and I like a hierarchy established because I want to see how a player is going to handle knowing they're in a certain situation. So you're the backup right now. And are you happy with that? Or are you not? And I hope that they're not. I hope that they're like, man, I want to be the guy. But then when you're the guy, like out of the gate, do you lead? Are you the guy? Are you start building that confidence in your teammates and that you're the guy? Because that's the one I would rather have. I'd rather be the one right out of the gate so that I could build a rapport, establish, a level of confidence and you get into a feeling and continuity. On top of it, when you're the guy, you get to practice with the better players and that just helps you develop. You're also going to get more reps. So I think it very easily, I want to be the guy who got the position out of the gate.
All right, Scott, here's your last question, okay? It's 3rd down and 5. We're playing back in your playing days, okay? And you have to throw the ball. You have to stand in the pocket. You have to be brave, okay? Would you rather be facing Randy White or Lawrence Taylor on a 3rd down passing situation? Who would you rather be scared of and see on the other side of the field?
Yeah, Randy White was a disruptor inside and kind of sneaky. And of course, LT was oh boy, I probably have to say Randy White, just because Lawrence Taylor is kind of Randy White was in a certain spot, and that was a different situation. But LT was a guy that I think you probably have to worry about just a little bit more. But either one of them is going to be a tough one. But I'm going to say Lawrence Taylor.
All right, Lawrence Taylor. All right, that's all I got for you, Scott.
Love it all the time. Hope you guys at home. I hope you guys won the game and you got the right answers. We'll see. But always fun to have these conversations. I like it. All right, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. Have a great rest of your day, and until then, we'll see you then.